Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for the McFarlane Toys Wave 1 My Hero Academia figures. This isn't something I've covered on the channel before, but I thought these were an interesting release, so I decided to take a look at a few. So, these are weird figures. They're a 5-inch scale kind of basic figure you'll find in the regular toy aisle as opposed to the collector aisle. It's kind of like the details of a statue or a higher-end collector figure, but in the package of a 5-inch basic figure. So this first wave, you've got Midoriya, you've got All Might, and you've got Bakugo here. So let's get started just with All Might since he's in the front. And you can see they're very nice looking figures. Like, I think they did a really great job on the detail on all of these. Heyo, they got the colors right, they got the proportions right, they got the details right. So if you're someone that's looking for a really nicely detailed figure that looks really accurate, I think these are going to be for you. Now, they're not very well articulated. I mean, you have the most basic figure articulation. You can move the arms back and forth and around a little bit. You can move the legs around a little bit. There's actually a decent amount of ball joint like articulation here, but since the knee doesn't bend, kind of lends you to do this pose. And you can move the heads. You can move all their heads side by side, which is nice. I've talked about in numerous reviews before, if you've watched any of my other reviews, that when you have a figure that doesn't have any articulation, or even one that's just like the head articulation can, for me, make all the difference. Is just being able to do something like this can give it just that much more personality, which I always appreciate. So if you're looking for articulation, this isn't going to be for you, which is why they're just kind of an interesting figure, because usually you get pretty basically detailed figures, but with more articulation for kids, but then you'll get like higher up, more expensive figures that have more details. But like I said at the top of this review, these are kind of like the details you would see more from a collector's figure, but in a basic figure package. But I think they did that really well, and I think that's what stands out to me with these, is that they are alongside the other basic figures in the toy aisle that are usually, well, pretty basic. Like, not bad, you know, because they're usually more for kids and whatnot, and these are too, but they're just kind of the most basic details you need, and these are much more accurate. They kind of look like mini statues, to be honest, which I really like about them. But the articulation on them is all the same. Like I said, I do like being able to move the head a little bit. It gives a little bit of personality. His expression looks a little bit too generic for me. It still looks pretty accurate, but I wish it was just a slightly different expression. It's probably my least favorite, or maybe some interchangeable expressions would be nice. Bakugo's here really kind of just fits his personality and just sort of just sums it up right there. But he's got a lot of really great details going on there. I would say that these parts are the most basic looking, like the green on here and a little bit here looks the most basic and kind of more what you would expect out of basic figures like this in comparison to the sort of matte finish of everything else that all three of these have. But other than that, they're still really nice figures. I think that he might suffer the most from the lack of articulation, just because with him you'd kind of want to pose him in something different, and it looks a little more awkward to have it like this. Whereas I could just see having Midoriya as just sitting there, and All Might just kind of naturally looks heroic, so it kind of works. But these are really interesting figures. I think they're really nice figures, and if you're looking for something like this and you're someone that doesn't care so much about being able to pose and whatnot, then I think these might be for you. They're a little bit cheaper. If they release a bunch of different characters, like this could easily be a great figure for somebody that just wants to collect all the characters and they're not going to take up a lot of space because they're smaller, they're not going to be posed, then I think that's going to be great for you. But there are better ones that are, you know, highly detailed just like this, but have better articulation. But for what these are, I think these are kind of an interesting middle point. I'm kind of curious like how kids will like them, because I feel like there's different tastes for kids. Some kids are going to want to have toys that do more something than just stand there. Some of them are going to want more articulation. Some of them aren't going to care and could just take these two and bash them together. I think that they interested me because as a kid, even before I became a collector, I always liked toys that could be a little bit fun, but also I did care about them looking good, so I feel like these would be right up my alley. So yeah, these are an interesting release. Anyways, guys, that's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.